Well, that's a good question. I think the reason for joining Zones is both our sons are involved in the construction industry. Kyle has had several years of experience doing landscaping and building work, and then our younger son has just was in the process of doing his building apprenticeship. So it was a way to start a family business that we could kind of hand over to the kids, and they could be the owners of their own destiny, kind of. And so with that experience behind them, it was just a kind of a no-brainer, really, to start up a landscaping business. And it also helped us. It wasn't like we were starting with something that we knew nothing about. So that was kind of the advantage of starting Zones and starting a franchise, which also meant we didn't need to start from nothing. We had that support behind us as well with starting a franchise. So I worked in the software industry. I was in a leadership role, so I was leading a team of software engineers, and we were building software for the travel industry, corporate travel market. Yeah, so vastly different. But in saying that, I was doing project management, you're doing all those kinds of things, and they all kind of, doesn't matter what industry you're in, it's all pretty much the same. So some of those skills were transferable across to what I was doing for Zones. Well, I suppose haven't invested hugely in local marketing, have done some flyers, and when we have projects, more recently what I've started to do is put flyers into the mailboxes around the properties that we're busy landscaping. The area that we cover is quite large, and some of the properties are in rural locations, so sometimes doing those drops in the neighborhood doesn't quite work. But when it's purely residential, then I try and do mail drops within that area, and we have our sign up. And and I've sponsored a local event that happens once a year, and I put out flyers and some promotional stuff at that event. So that's basically the local marketing I've done so far. Yes, we've had a repeat customer who we built a deck for that has come back and has wanted us to now have a look at their lawn area to kind of put down new lawn. With all the rain and everything from this year, that has just turned to mush, so they want us to come in and have a look at that. And then they've got some issues with a couple of gates and fences that they had put up when they originally built the property. So they want us to come and do that. Then we've had a few referrals. We kind of built a relationship with a pool company, and so we're getting some referrals from that to do the landscaping as well. Mostly it's a positive response. They like the idea of the fact that they can look at something up front and make decisions about what that's going to look like. So once you get the design in front of them, they can kind of build a picture in their heads of what this is going to look like, with some of the examples of either the deck or the pergola or the fireplace that they're going to be putting in. And then can make decisions on whether that is where they want it to be or they want to move it around. And so saving costs up front, especially for some of the clients that are doing huge projects. So the process definitely works that way, and they're pretty open to the process, so it's worked quite well for us. Well, I suppose we're kind of in a unique position with Carl already having experience. So he's been pretty hands-on, especially in the first year. And then because he's been in the industry, he's got a lot of contacts. And so that's kind of how we've started to build our team. We've used subcontractors to do some of the bigger construction stuff. And then Carl's been doing all the other softscaping. He's also built retaining walls and those kinds of things. But his contacts within the industry has helped us build our team. I suppose the best way to describe it is it helps you prioritize your work, and you can just look at control and see where any given person, what stage that kind of client is at, and whether you need to follow them up. I'm hoping that new control, you'll be able to change things around a bit more. But I think it's a great way just to look at a high level of where people are at in the process, and then knowing whether it's a task that you're doing for them, whether you've got to call them, whether it's a milestone. There are some of those little icons on each client's ticket or task or whatever you want to refer to it as, and then you know what stage they're at and what you need to be doing to follow them up. So yeah, I think it's a great way just to keep track of where everybody's at, and then following them up accordingly. I think what we've kind of learned over time is that every lead is worth going to see, or having, talking to them over the phone, getting some information. And more often you go out to see the clients, it sometimes actually turns into more than what they originally had listed. It's not always the case, but it's still worth going out to see people. Even if a lead doesn't turn into anything, providing some advice or information for the customer just helps them make a decision on where they want to go with their project. Sometimes they're too small and you may not be able to help them, but referring them to someone else is also useful, and maybe sometime in the future they'll come back to you because you've been able to provide them with information. But yeah, every lead is worth going to visit. And probably one of the other things we've tried to focus on is the quality of the work. So we are open to having discussions with customers around their scope of work, changing materials to bring it into budget, but we've always tried to maintain our margin as best we can. I mean, this year has been difficult. You have your ups and downs, but yeah, trying to keep your margin is really important, and rather focusing on the quality and the fact that you're doing the whole project from start to finish. You're not just the single trade, you're there to make sure that you're helping them get the best product, and they don't have to worry about finding all of these different people. That's kind of your advantage and your selling point. So making sure you try and get that across in your briefing meeting as well.